What is something Americans will never understand?
Let me guess, you work for BuzzFeed.
Don't worry, if they don't, someone who does will be along to collect responses shortly.
Cricket.
There's a bunch of English gadgies in Australia at the moment who are also struggling.
I understand all of these things pretty well as an American. Except for cricket. Whoever answered cricket, well done. Don't really understand it, and probably never will.
As an American I was ready to argue, but the cricket thing was spot on.
That in some places we can't just return things we have bought because we don't like them.
I remember hearing that in America you can return makeup after you bought if you don't like it. In the UK I couldn't do that. I think some companies now have a policy that you can return stuff if it's unopened and unused, but I always thought it was crazy you can return used stuff in the US. Apparently if you return it, it just gets thrown out and destroyed?
Yeah. I saw a video from somewhere about an employee of a store wherein she's destroying a lot of returned makeup and saying how wasteful it is. Where I'm from, shops that sell makeup provide units for testing so that you can try it out on the spot and determine if you'll like it or not. Unless the issue is QC related, you can't return an item just because you don't like it, since the shop has already provided you a means to determine if the item will suit you.
American here, paying to use the restroom.
I make all the drinks free in Rollercoaster Tycoon. I already know about this.
Chai tea means TT.
Like naan bread.
As an American, I'll never understand how you all have so much time and money to travel abroad. Employers here work the hell out of you. Long hours, low pay, and negligible PTO hours. I hear in the UK even the lowest paid jobs have at least 25 days a year guaranteed under the law. The wages we get don't cover the cost of living in most states, so the idea of having money to spend on trips, aside from the trip cost itself, kind of baffles me.
I can't speak for the free time, but in general, traveling internationally is much cheaper in areas like Europe. Even if we ditch the train and just talk flights. The whole, potentially, not having to cross an entire continent and ocean really shortens and cheapens the flights.
That you work to live and not live to work. Sometimes you need a vacation. Not just when you're super rich.
I was reading a post last night and getting depressed. I'd never make as much money as a software engineer. Then I remembered I've done so much traveling, backpacking, and outdoor stuff, and reminded myself that money is not the goal.
I follow the NBA, which makes me follow American sports media. And I've heard so many dumb takes that underestimates how competitive football is. Bill Simmons saying that if Iverson had chosen to play soccer, he would have been the GOAT is maybe the dumbest of them all. So my answer is, some Americans will never understand just how big football is in the rest of the world, and that being at the top of such a large talent pool gives you fantastic odds at being more talented than the top players in smaller sports, globally.
Low uni fees equals bad uni.
In my country, the best unis are public. You can study for 0 fees.
Celsius.
When I hear that it's 80 degrees outside in American movies, series, I start to panic.
Taking 2 or 3 weeks off work to do whatever is normal, even expected. Edit to make things clear, most what I have seen is that taking days off is quite difficult. Also, I'm talking about taking 2 or 3 weeks off at once, not total PTO days. Which should be more than 2 or 3 weeks. Also, PTO is also your sick days? What the actual F? Edit 2, I'm very glad to read that my generalization was just that. However, the huge differences I read in this comment section is mind-boggling. Are y'all lying to me? Sad face. Edit 3, thanks for the awards you kind strangers. Less than 3. Edit 4, last edit, I promise. I've got some questions and comments. Asterisk, no, I do not think the US is a horrible place. Only love and confusion here. Less than 3. Asterisk, I have 7 weeks of PTO and 10 holidays, cannot pick those days, and I do use them all. My boss sometimes panics, but that's about it. I am still very productive and my boss only has me. It still works out. Asterisk, I would earn a lot more if I would go to the US. I even considered it, but there are a few things that hold me back.
I do this as an American and everyone always makes comments. You take a lot of vacations. Yeah, you should too. I work to live, I don't live to work.
Implications of war on terror.
War on anything, DG seem to have one. Alcohol, the booze one. Terror, again it seems terror one. Whatever the reason for Vietnam, Vietnam won. There seems to be a pattern with losing wars, no wonder they spend so much on military spending. How common it is for people from other nations to live with their parents even if they're adults. From ages of 49s, 50s, 60s and so on. Edit, so. Some of y'all are having trouble understanding our tandoori chicken and rajma chawal lifestyle. I'ma walk you guys through it. The basic logic is parents take care of your retarded ass, and when you grow into an adult you take care of them when they go full retard due to old age. This also includes other sons. Daughters F off to their in-laws' place and end up doing the traditional child and kitchen thing for the rest of their lives. Most parents think it's okay to meddle in your things, and they'll not hesitate to give their opinion, no matter how personal the matter is. For most part, these chana masala old FS end up in old age homes where they complain for the rest of their lives about how their children abandoned them, like they weren't being assholes to begin with. One other reason to take care of them is for that good dollar note inheritance money. Some people genuinely care, some don't. Good part. Babysitting is free. You can save some money. There's closeness to relationships. Inheritance is guaranteed. If you can't find a GF or BF, they'll find one for you. And the overall load is well distributed. Bad. It's bad. Fights, no privacy, and how dare your child score more marks than mine. Sometime you pay more than you need to. Parents go full retard earlier than expected.
The differences between a UK, Australian and New Zealand accent.
Bring South Africa's accent into it and they'll explode.
I encounter a lot of Americans who cannot comprehend that in a lot of places in Europe you don't need a car. I'm 30. I have no desire to drive. I don't have a license or a car. Public transport is reliable and popular, and I can get anywhere by myself. Nearest grocery store is literally 30 seconds away from my home. Everything else I'd need is in 5 minutes walking distance. This obviously has to do because North America has really bizarre building regulations and plans cities in a way that requires a car as a basic necessity, because otherwise there would be no way anyone can get anywhere. Edit. Hello. I did not expect this to blow up smiley face. Yes, we know America is big. We know that you're less densely populated. And we do know that everything is more spread out. You obviously need a car because this is how everything is designed. However, to us who live in walkable places it's not a necessity, and it's incomprehensible that absolutely no alternative to cars exists in North America. Even in the areas that could have one. Yes. We know the reason is probably the car lobby. Not everyone can drive after all, too young, disabled, etc. So if they live in the middle of nowhere they're basically confined to their homes. Anyway, please visit our, not just bikes smiley face. Having only 2 political parties is terrible.
Yes, it very much is. In fact, George Washington even warned us how bad an idea political parties are right from the get-go.
If restaurants paid their employees a decent salary, there wouldn't be a necessity for giving tips.
We understand this, but people will also cry, but then he'll have to pay $15 for a burger, without realizing it would probably be cheaper to pay more for the food and not tip. TBF, most people crying about that don't usually tip well anyway in my experience. Edit, fixed a typo. Also just basing the $15 burger off my area, where a burger and fries at most sit-down places is $10 to $12 if you get water. Obviously, the US is big and prices range drastically. My local Applebee's is $10.99 for this, pre-tip taxes, and drink. Just as a reference.
I find it strange, some Americans think Europe is just one entity that is comparable to the USA. It's not. Countries are not comparable to states. The differences between Poland and Spain are far greater than those between California and Florida.
That's not exclusive to Europe. Saying this as an American who've had to explain this to so many people, it's painful. Africa is not a country. It's a continent with over 50 countries.
How much better chocolate is in Europe compared to America?
I don't understand why political parties are treated like rock bands and idols. The amount of merchandise, such as MAGA hats, political yard signs, and t-shirts of your favorite politician's face, aren't things I would see on a daily basis here in Europe. Edit. Since lot of people are complaining, my answer would be, many, Americans don't understand that treating their politicians as celebrities and biblical figures is weird and not a thing outside of the US. Edit 2. To the people saying that this also happens outside of the US, such as Russia, North Korea, Venezuela, 1930s Germany, etc., that's not the flex you think it is. Also, there's a big difference between endorsement and idolization. Even my pet spider can tell the difference. And yes, I know it's not all Americans. Jesus.
Wait, do Americans actually wear those? I thought it was just satire meme material.
That having a good healthcare system is not communist nor the devil's spawn.
That being from a place and having ancestors from a place are not the same thing.
The flip side of that is understanding that something like Italian-American culture is separate and distinct from Italian culture. This is all part of hanging on to your cultural roots despite the diaspora. My genes are from Italy, but that's about it. I strongly identify with being Italian-American though. The cuisine, language, behavior, they're not Italian but they're distinct to the cultural group that made the migration. I imagine this is true of other immigrant groups, Irish, Greek, etc.
That English is not the mother language of most people and therefore it is completely normal to have an accent and make mistakes.
Thank you for watching. We upload new videos every day, so be sure to come back for more fun. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.